welcome to the Zero to Hero show. I'm Annie Bennett, and on today's episode, I'm with Laura Ellera. Laura is a mother of two and was diagnosed with depression. Some people might think, that's it, I'm done. But for Laura, she knew that there was something more that she could give, and she knew that she could help other people overcome their fear and build a successful business. After having a chat with Laura, I have learned so much from her, and her journey is so inspiring. So let's hear it from Laura. Hello, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us today. Another episode of Zero to Hero show. I'm so happy.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
From the last time when we have a lovely chat about last week, you have so much to share, and I would love everyone to hear all about it from you.
I'll do my best.
Okay. First, I'm just going to start. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Laura. I'm from the UK, and I am a mindset coach for people, new and aspiring entrepreneurs. So I help you work through your fears and all that lovely stuff that comes up when people try to start their own business, because it's a really scary thing, right? And but I mean, I didn't start off as this. I started off in finance. In fact, actually, I started off in meteorology, which is a bit of a little unknown fact. I did meteorology at university. Realized that there wasn't many jobs going in that, or none that I really wanted to do. So followed the shiny lights to London and became a chartered accountant with one of the big four. But pretty much from day one knew it wasn't for me. Like I loved the people. I loved sort of the idea of it, but I just knew that wasn't the thing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So that sort of set me off on a journey of discovery, where I tried out 1,000,001 different sort of skills and different workshops and different diplomas, and so I am now probably the most qualified person in the most random things, but just trying to find what that one thing was for me that really clicked. And I think a lot of people go on that path, don't they, where they're like, I'm doing this and I know it's not for me, but I'm not quite sure what that other thing is. And then I found coaching in 2012. Actually, it was a friend who said, have you seen this course? So you can go on this free 2-day event. And literally that was it. It from then on, like it just changed. Everything changed. I mean, obviously not overnight, but just suddenly this new world opened up to me. And yeah, so I started coaching in 2013, and then went in full time in 2015 as my full time job. Had a bit of time off to have 2 little children who are now, 2 and just turned 4. So they like to keep me on my toes. And so, now I'm back at it and back into full-time coaching mode and loving it.
Oh, it's like, so I think, like you said, many of us the same. We have to go through different paths to be able to find what our purpose, this is it, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I want to do. And then without it, you feel so amazing. And then you feel like when you deliver something, you will deliver so amazing, and you will so even surprise yourself. I did this. How did I do this? Right?
Yeah. I think we have to be careful a little bit with this, because I think sometimes it can be a bit more organic than that, and I think people can almost miss. They're not calling. I don't like the word calling, but miss that thing, because they're sort of almost waiting for, the ha and the lights and the halo and the sort of the music in the background, and it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes, I mean, it's always within you. What your purpose is always within you. It's just finding that outlet for it. But yeah, it really was I sat in that 2-3-day event going, this is it. This is what I want to be doing. This is it. And then it was just a case of, right, what the hell do I do to be able to do this? Like, what is this? And yeah, but I don't think it always works that way. So I think just as a word of caution for the listeners, that don't be waiting for that if you've already found something, if you see what I mean.
So, but you did say you did try different things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did. Yeah, I got a diploma in nutrition and furniture restoration. Don't know, that was just one of my ideas. But yeah, I quickly decided that wasn't for me.
Because some people, they don't even try anything at all.
Yeah.
With the same thing, and then they're not happy about it. but other people who try different until one day they click, they connect with
Yes.
their gift.
Yeah. Clarity comes from action. It does not come from thinking about it. So the more you sit there and think, oh, I want this, oh, I see other people doing it, they're so lucky, they found their thing, I'll never find mine. Well, no, those people have gone out and looked for it. They've gone out and worked out what it is that they want, worked out what makes them click. They've not just sat going, I want that, but I'm not going to do anything about it. So it's always action. Clarity comes from action.
Wow, love that. Wow, thank you. Can you tell me the most toughest time in your life?
Yeah, yes. So actually mine was really quite recent. It was last year. Well, it sort of started off in 2018, but so I had my second child May 2 years ago, so 2018. All absolutely fine until about the back end of 2018, where I mean, I'm normally quite a bubbly, happy-go-lucky kind of girl, and things were just not going well. Like I was often found on the floor in tears, and it was just all life was just getting really, really hard. And I mean, to be honest, my kids weren't sleeping, so a lot of it was put down to, sleep deprivation, and it was, I mean, it's torture, literally. But it sort of came to a head in March 2019, when 2 days before my husband left to go to work abroad for 2 years, went to 18 months, I was diagnosed with postnatal depression. So basically being left with he was under 1 and a 2-year-old on my own with them with this diagnosis, and yeah, I mean that was the most difficult time of my life, because there are so many feelings that come with that. I mean, I was stupidly one of those people that thought, depression was one of those things that other people get. Depression is one of those things that you get. I think, even if I'm really honest, I think I thought that weak people got depressed. And I know that's a horrible thing to say, and I know so much better now. But you don't know that, you don't know what you don't know. And until you've experienced something, or you've had somebody close to you go through something, I think it's quite hard to really truly understand it, because it's an unseen illness. You can't see anything, and a lot of the time, what was quite frustrating at first was that, I mean, I've always been very open about it, because I don't see why I wouldn't be. I when people are like, oh, you're brave, I'm like, I just don't see it like that. I mean, it was just something that happened to me, and if I can talk about it and make somebody else feel a bit better, or make them realize that that's what they're going through, then all for the better. But a lot of my friends were saying to me, oh, you're not depressed, you're just tired. Oh, you're not depressed, it's just a phase. And I found that really difficult, because I was a bit like, no, look, I've got a doctor's note. This doctor's telling me this is what I've got. And I think people were just finding it really hard to get their head around the fact that the person that normally is quite like bubbly was the one that was really suffering. So if you've got somebody that that's going through depression, please don't tell them that they're just feeling a bit down, because it's not that. It's actually not that. It is a chemical imbalance in your brain that happens. So it was really tough. I mean, we're trying to look after the kids, the guilt, just feeling really guilty that I should be a better mum, that I'm letting my children down, lots of feelings of they'd be better off without me, and sort of all that really hard, horrible stuff to deal with. And obviously my husband was abroad. It came to a head when he had to actually get on a plane. I spoke to him one day, and he sort of looked at me and he said, I need to come home, don't I? And I was sort of like, yes. And he was home literally by the next day, which is exactly what I needed. I needed that support around me. So that was definitely the toughest time of my life so far.
Wow. So how did you get through that?
A lot of support from my family and friends and my husband. I went down the sort of our NHS are amazing at things like this. So I did CBT, so cognitive behavior therapy. But I'd also made this decision before the actual diagnosis in March. In February, I decided that I needed to do something that was more me, which is some sort of crazy event or something that's, just totally out there. So in February, I decided to sign up for an Ironman, which is a triathlon where you basically swim 3.8 kilometers you then cycle 180 kilometers, and then you run a marathon. And I thought it'd be a really good idea to add this to the plate. Like, I thought, I don't have enough on at the moment. And obviously I was my business as well. So I was like, I don't have enough on at the moment. I'm looking after a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old. My husband's not here. I think I'm going to go out and do like 5-6 hour training sessions in a day, on 2 hours sleep. So that both helped and hindered, because obviously the exercise from it and that side really, really helps. But obviously the mental pressure of, oh my God, I've got to go out and do this training, because you can't really wing an Ironman. It's not like you could just rock up with no training. But so that helped and hindered at the same time. I also did some hypnotherapy, which was really for open water swimming, because I am probably the worst triathlete in the world, because I have a deep-rooted fear of open water. Like, if I smell a wetsuit, I go into panic mode and I have actual panic attacks in the water, which is really good for drowning, but not so good for swimming. So I did some hypnotherapy around that, which was amazing. But he also helped me sort of, because he knew about the postnatal depression as well. So he really helped with that as well. One of the things which I'll share that he said was, "Are you okay now?" Which at the time, it took him a while to get it through to me, but it was that understanding that I was panicking about something that might happen in the future. And I think that's the thing that we always do, aren't we? We're either agonizing of something that we didn't do right in the past, or worrying about something that hasn't happened in the future. And he said, "Am I okay now?" Just keep saying, "Am I okay now?" And I ask myself this, I don't know how many times a day, if I'm panicking about something, I think, am I okay now? And the answer is yes. Like, am I okay now? Yeah, I'm sat in my office. I've got a nice cup of water and coffee. Things are good. Am I worrying about something that might happen? Yeah, but I'm okay now. So, the hypnotherapy helps. And I've got to say, a lot of personal work. So, taking the time to sort of sit with my feelings, not become okay with them, that probably sounds wrong, but just acknowledging that they were there and not trying to push through it, because I can be quite stubborn and quite hard-headed, and I'll be like, no, I'm going to work through this, I'm going to do an Ironman, I'm going to blah blah blah, and not actually just taking the time to acknowledge that this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on for me, it's okay that it's going on for me, I'm working through it, and just being kind to myself, which came from taking time out to meditate, especially recently when I thought it was coming back a bit, because when we went into lockdown, I definitely noticed sort of the feelings of falling back into it coming again, and that has been a lot of meditation, journaling, exercising, not for an Ironman, but just like normal exercising, and all of those things definitely helped.
Wow, I love this. Are you okay now? This is so amazing. Like, some people, even me sometimes, oh, tomorrow, what's gonna happen? Oh, what's this? Like, you worry about something in the future in advance that is not happen, and those is so no more. So now, if you start to say, are you okay now? I am. We're still breathing.
Yeah.
We still have, like you say, we still have a coffee in front. Yeah, this is amazing. I'm gonna keep this. I'm worried, or when I'm thinking about something that,
am I okay now? Am I okay now? I can ask myself this like 100 times a day when I'm trying to do something that scares me. I'm like, am I okay now? Yeah, it's not happening yet. Even if that thing's not happening, and I'll digress in that, but is it Ant Middleton talks about the fear bubble? So that's where we worry about something when we're not actually in there. And he was like a special ops officer, so he was going into pretty scary places, but he said he would worry about stuff so far in advance that he'd be feeling the anxiety as if he was about to break down the door of the enemy, like weeks in advance. And he said, well, actually, if I draw a bubble around where that danger is, and I'm okay until I step into it, then I don't have to worry about it before, because when I'm sat at home with my family worrying about it, I'm absolutely fine. So am I okay now? And then drawing a bubble around that thing that you need to be scared of. And there are very few things in our lives these days that we have to be scared of. We're not really being chased by wild animals anymore, and not many of us are special ops officers running, going into a enemy combat. So there's very few things that we need to draw a fear bubble around. But whilst we have a massive fear bubble around us the whole time, and we're living in that constantly, we're in a constant state of anxiety, that there is just no clarity in that place.
wow, this is really good tips. I'll definitely will try to do it. How about if we like, as a mom, we always worry about our kids as well, and my kids go to school and stuff. Can we do that to our kids? Like, is he okay now? Is she okay now? You think?
Yeah, so I am a massive fan of doing or trying to sort of show my children my personal development. I'm very open with my children. When I'm feeling down and I'm upset, I won't hide my emotions from them. I'll explain them. And if I'm crying, about something that's happened, or, like my husband leaves quite often to go away for 8 weeks, which can be quite hard. And obviously it affects my children. And I'll say to them, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel this, and letting them be okay with their emotions. And so not necessarily saying, oh no, you can't be afraid of that, but working through, so what is it that scares you about that? What can we do differently? And how can we look at it a different way? How can we work through it together? What can you do? And just giving them the tools. I mean, it's hard. I mean, mine are 2, and like I say, my oldest has just turned 4, and they have their moments, we'll say. So I wouldn't, depending on what age your kids are and everything, I wouldn't recommend it when they're in the heat at the moment, because they'll probably tell you, especially if they're older, to go away, mummy. But to give them the tools whilst they're in a calm state, and to show them you using it, because they copy what we do. They copy what they see being done. So there's no point in telling them these things and not using them yourself, or not showing them that you're using them yourself. So I'll quite happily talk to myself and be like, am I okay now? And my oldest will be like, who are you talking to, mummy? And I'm like, just myself. I'm just sorting myself out. And the funny thing was, during lockdown, I was in the kitchen making the dinner, and I was sort of having a little bit of a mumble to myself. And my son, because I am like that, and my eldest son said to me, who are you talking to, mummy? And I said, oh, just myself. I'm feeling a bit anxious and I'm not sure why. I'm just trying to work out why. I'm just trying to work out what's going on. And he said, is it because of the bug, mummy? And he means, the virus. And I said, well, why do you say that, darling? And he said, well, because you can't see any of your friends at the moment. Are you feeling anxious because you can't see your friends? And he's 3. So they know so much more, and they pick up so much more than we give them credit for. So I think it's a brilliant thing to teach them. I think such a life lesson to be able to give them tools where they can deal with the anxieties and the nervousness of things that can happen in the outside world. So very long answer to a yes, I think it's great to give to our kids.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a good, because like you said, if you try to tell, like sometimes when the kids cry and the parents be, stop crying, why are you crying? Well, like me, like because my son, I felt like he shouldn't cry, but maybe I should ask him, like, why make him upset, and maybe try to teach him how to handle it. Yeah, because he's so sensitive. But now I
think as well, like, I mean, I'm no parenting anything, so this is just coming from my personal perspective, but I think a lot of the time when we try to stop our children from crying, it's because it makes us feel uncomfortable, like we're failing. Like if our child's crying, we want to take them out of the pain, and that's completely understandable, because we don't want to see our kids in pain. That's not why we had them, right? But they have to work through that, and we have to become okay with them working through that and be there for them, so that they've got the support of us, but not necessarily saying, no, don't cry because it makes me feel better when you're not crying. Almost that is kind of what we're saying. So I'm very open that, if my kids need to cry, they can cry. That's fine. If they need to get upset, they can get upset. But hey, let's see if there's a way we can work through this differently. That means that, the house doesn't get trashed, or,
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I will take note to that. I would with my kids, my son. Right. You saying you you are mindset coach.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me, like, why you do what you do?
Oh, good question. So I mean, one of my biggest things that I think everybody should do is find out why they do what they do, and mine boils down to that I don't want to live with regret, and I don't want to see anybody else living with regret. I can't think of anything worse than getting to my deathbed and thinking, what if? I just can't think of anything worse than that. I want to get there and be like, I was petrified most of my life, but I did exactly what I wanted to. I achieved what I wanted to. I showed my kids what's achievable. I've set up a good life for them. I helped other people along the way. But I see quite a lot of people living with regrets. I see people close to me living like that, and I just think it's the worst thing, because we have the power to do something about it now, and we don't have to live that way. We don't have to. We can choose, but oftentimes situations and stories and internal blocks that we carry with us, and reasons why it's not for us, and why we can't do it, and why it's okay for that person, they've got XYZ but we can't do it, things like that stop us until we then tell ourselves it's too late. So, early on we're too young, then something else, we're too busy, then we have children and we're definitely too busy, and then we're too old. And there's all these stories. And then, the biggest regret of the dying, without being too morbid, is that they wish they had cared less and done what they'd wanted to. And I mean, that's something to listen to, right? If that's a trend and that's what the biggest regret of dying people is, then why don't we do something about it while we're living? Why don't we do something about it now? Why don't we go after those things, whatever it is, whether it's a business, whether whatever it is that you're after? Because we have the ability to do it now. And if we wait and wait and wait, we're only going to regret not doing it sooner. Like I don't want to live with regret, and yet I still think I wish I'd done it sooner, but I'm happy with that. I've made peace with it. I had to go through these experiences to get to where I am now, but I hate seeing other people in turmoil about it and wanting something. And I think I don't think it leads to depression. Like I say, I know depression is something different, but it does lead to this feeling of unsatisfaction and unhappiness within people when they have dreams, like when we were kids and we used to have all those hopes and dreams and of how life was going to be and what we were going to do and all these amazing things, and then life happens and we say life gets in the way. Well, how life doesn't get in the way, we get in the way. We get in the way of ourselves. Life's just happening, life's happening for us. It's just that we tell ourselves that it's not. And I think when we shelve those hopes and put them to one side and we go off down this path of I must do this, and yes, we all have commitments, but I think that's when that feeling of unhappiness and anxiety and lowness comes in, because we're not following our full potential. We're not realizing what we could be, and we all know that there's more within us. We all know that we're here to do something big, and when we're not following that, then it can feel really empty.
Wow, this is why you do what you do.
I'm slightly passionate about it. You might be able to tell. I don't know.
You're very passionate, but basically you want to help people. You want to help them to get where they want to be, not just feel regret and stuck like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could have my own business. I wish I could quit my job. I wish this, wish that, but just never do it. And you push them and do it and get them to the right direction.
And it's not, I mean, it's more encouraging. It's more encouraging them, and also we all have the ability within us. It's just sometimes allowing ourselves to admit that, and it can be hard to admit that to people that are close to us. It can be embarrassing to people to say things to their friends and their family through judgment, whereas I think that's why when you get in an external person who is totally unbiased, that's when you can really start admitting what your true desires are, because they come with no judgment. That's what coaching's about. It's no judgment. So I think that's where the strength of it comes, because it is internal. Even if somebody sort of sat there listening going, no, it's not, I don't know what I do, I don't know, it's somewhere deep down it's there. It's just the stories, it's just what you're telling yourself that's making you think it's not.
But it is there. Something special in them.
I am so think that is, I think we all have something special within us. Even the people that are saying that they don't, we do. We all have different experiences that we can draw on. We all have knowledge we can draw on, and we were talking about this last time we spoke. I think the biggest thing that I've had to overcome is that because I like literally immerse myself in this, I've always had some sort of personal development podcast or audio book on in the background, or some course I'm doing. I just assume that everybody knows the same stuff and has done the same courses and read the same books and is into it as much as I am. So I'm like, well, it's taken a lot for me to work through and being like, actually, no, people don't. And actually, I do have stuff I can help others with. And I think a lot of people have that problem when it's something that comes to them either easy or they really enjoy it. They feel like they can't charge for it because either everybody already knows it or it's not worth it, and that's where like all the stories come in and the money blocks, and those are the things that I work through with my clients to be able to help them put themselves out there and realize that gift is in there. People do want it, and you're doing them almost a disservice by not showing them and not selling it and not serving the people that could really benefit from it.
Yes, true. Some people are like, who gonna pay me this to to like self-doubt, right?
Massively. I'm still working through it. This is this is still one of mine. But we don't even realize the stories we carry with us about everything, but especially money. I mean, money is one of those things that it's ingrained from almost birth. You know, like money doesn't grow on trees. Like that's a great one. Or I'd rather be poor and happy than rich and miserable. Or, you know, all these great things that come out. And I mean, I'm doing the Denise Duffel Thomas Money Boot Camp at the moment, and like she just hits it on the head every time, because it's like, yes, I remember saying that. And even things like blow out the candles and make a wish, but don't tell anybody, because then it won't come true. And I think like she said that, and I've said this, I think the same. It's there's all these different stories that we tell ourselves, and they're in our subconscious mind all the time. So acknowledging that they're there and actually just realizing that we tell ourselves these things, and that's what's stopping you thinking that A, you've got a gift, and B, that you can charge for it.
Yeah. It's still nowadays. Even my husband, money is evil. No, it's not.
Money's the root of all evil. That's a great one.
money just show the real people who they are. If they're rich, they will be so care, so support, so help others. If they but if they're a bad person and they become rich, they will just do the bad things. So money just show who they really are. Money not bad thing at all. Money can't hurt anyone.
Money's just an object. It's the stories we put on it that's the problem. It's not the actual money. And you know what, if you're a nice person and you make lots of money, you will still be a nice person. If you're an idiot and you make lots of money, you're more than probably still going to be an idiot. So it's much better that money is in the hands of people that are nice and kind and doing things for the greater good. Because you know what, it doesn't mean that you can't then help other people out, but you're not going to get there if you're carrying all these stories with you as to why you can't charge for what you do.
Okay, people that listen up, so now who have money blocks, up. Don't think that you can't charge people, okay? And money is not evil.
No, money is not evil.
Okay, all right, so I have the question. Because this, I think it might be benefit for people who listen up as well, who listen to this podcast or on YouTube. For example, if I want to start a business, what tips would you give me?
Okay. If you wanted to start business, I would say, first of all, get really clear. So clear on why you want to start your business, which I think we sort of briefly touched on earlier, but the real reason why you want to start that business, because it's all right saying, I want to start a business, but there are going to be knocks along the way. There's going to be tough times. There's going to be days when you just think, why am I doing this? I just want to get back under those bed covers, unless you've got a toddler and then you can't. But you know, I just don't want to do this anymore. And when you are so clear on the real reason why you want to do this, it just makes you really resilient, because you won't take no for an answer. You won't take that last hit as being, well, that's it, I'm not doing it anymore, because nothing will stop you for it, because it's for a bigger reason than yourself. So I mean, like my why, like I say, is because I don't want to live with regret, and also doing it for my children. I think that, and like for me, that is a major thing. Like I want to show them what can be achieved, like what we can do when we put our minds to it. So getting very, very, very clear on your why, but also very clear on who you're going to serve. And this can be quite hard at the beginning, because you kind of almost have to try it out to know who you're going to serve if you're brand new. But maybe if you've done if you're a coach, any free coaching, or who you've worked with, or your friends, or what characteristics of people you'd like as your client, because getting clear on who that person is means that when you come to talk to somebody in either real life or especially in marketing, you can talk directly to that one person. And this is where people's heads explode in general, because they go, no, I can't limit myself. I need to talk to everybody, because that person and that person and that person, I can work for that person, that person. And that is, I mean, even the biggest companies in the world with multi-million pound marketing budgets don't talk to everybody, because you just can't afford to. So once you get really, really specific as to who your client is, who your ideal client is, then you can talk to them, you can talk to their hearts, you can tell the stories to them, because that's basically what it is all about. It's all about, people buy stories, people buy people, they don't buy the product. And then, I mean, on that point, getting really clear on what your product is. What is it that you're selling? Is it a service? Is it a product? So clarity is the first step, and clarity comes from action, as I've already said. So getting clear and getting moving, putting things out there, trying it, see what happens, making a minimum viable offer. So the smallest amount you can, get out there, get some feedback, tweak it, make it better, pivot if you need to. Working through these money blocks and other mental stories that we tell ourselves is key, because all the strategies in the world will do nothing if your mindset is in a bad place. So I think people say it's like 80% mindset, 20% strategy. I disagree. I think it is literally like 95% mindset, because anybody can put strategies together. Like you could go online and buy and get free strategies, and yes, of course, some work better than others. I don't mean that, but if your mindset's in the wrong place, it doesn't matter. You're not going to do anything with them, or you're going to, well, sabotage yourself. Your fears will outweigh the value of what you want to be doing. So definitely work through these blocks and stories, and don't tell yourself you don't have any. There is nobody in the world that doesn't have any stories or blocks. And then start to take action. That would be my tip number 3. Take action that feels uncomfortable. If something scares you, do it, because that is where the good stuff lies. And there's different fears, right? There's the fear that stops you walking in front of a bus. So I'm not meaning that fear. It's the fear that makes you worry that you might grow if you do it. That's the fear you're looking for. When something makes you feel that fear and you feel anxious about doing it, then you have to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. Because when you come out the other side, oh my God, you will, your comfort zone's grown. B, you will feel elated. And C, you are much more likely to go and do the next step and the next step and the next step and keep the momentum going. So yeah, become really comfortable with feeling uncomfortable.
I love this. I heard this, and this is really true. So if anyone wants to start a business, first the tips you should think about, number 1 is be clarity.
Clarity, yep.
Why are you doing it? Number 2,
work through your blocks.
Look for your blocks. Just basically mindset.
Yeah.
Number 3,
take uncomfortable action.
Take massive action, right?
Massive action, massive uncomfortable action, because you can take massive action in totally the wrong direction. You can make your website look the prettiest website in the world, but that's not necessarily always the action that's going to get you the money, and you need to bring the money in, otherwise it's a hobby.
Wow, that's so. Is it 3 tips for if anyone wants to start a business, right?
Yeah, they'd be my 3 tips.
Thank you. Right, how about can you share me your 3 tips for success?
My 3 tips for success?
Yes.
I think they would be the same 3. I mean, definitely the action one.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they're exactly the same things to me, because starting for success. Oh, let me think. No, I think I'd say the same, because it's. Oh, I'm only thinking about it because it's the same as you go. So starting and success, you work constantly almost on this circle. So what you're doing at the beginning, you will still be doing 10 years down the line. It's just, it'll be a bit further on, and it'll probably have a bit more money attached to it. Well, it'll hopefully have a bit more money attached to it. So I am constantly working on my clarity. My ideal client is constantly being updated and tweaked. And yes, they're always a similar vein, but it's always clarifying, simplifying, automating if you can. So I guess automation comes in a bit more further down the line for success. So yeah, so automation within that clarity. Mindset is exactly the same. It's new level, new devil, or new level, same devil, just need to work on it a little bit harder. So I'd say mindset is I'd say they're exactly the same, which isn't me just like backing out the question, but I genuinely do think that's the case, because you'll have different stories coming up as you get further on. You'll have different money blocks. You'll have, like increasing your prices, dealing with things like getting your first negative comments or your first refunds. That's all mindset still. It's still all mindset. On, like I got a refund request and it didn't kill me. That sort of idea. And then taking action every day, because I think that's the thing you can think that once you get further down the line, you'll start to feel more comfortable about it, and you won't. You'll still feel uncomfortable. It might be a different level, like whereas before it was going on live to nobody watching on Facebook. It then could be walking out on stage in front of 1,000 people. You know, it's gonna still happen. It's just a different level. So that's why I think it's so important to do it at the beginning. So to start the business, because you're going to have to do it as you get further on down the line. You're going to have to do it as you get more successful. So still the money blocks and still the action, really, because you could become very successful and sit back and be like, I've done it now, got the courses out there, I've made my millions. But unless you keep taking inspired action that scares you on a daily basis, then things will slowly unravel. Whereas your marketing was working, if you stop putting the effort into it, that marketing is going to stop working. So I would say exactly the three things. It's just a new level.
Yeah, it's true though, because like you said, it's just a different level, because when we start from zero.
Mm-hmm.
We have more, like, it's exactly true, like you said, first we start off Facebook Live and now we go to the next one, take action onto the stage, and the mindset, you've got to start to have grow mindsets as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So yeah, thank you. That's the your three tips for success. It's similar to things to the start business, but it's just a different level.
And isn't it funny? So this whole story thing in my head, I'm going, oh, I should have thought of another three. That's the story I'm telling myself when I'm okay with my answer. But it's, isn't it? Like, we still tell ourselves stories. There's still this little thing in the back of my head chattering away at me. My inner critic.
Yeah, it's too amazing. We have two persons inside our body, I know.
Yes. Inner critic and inner voice of wisdom. And you got to listen a little bit carefully for that inner voice of wisdom, don't you?
We have to choose the right one, the white one, not the black one. Right?
I've not heard that one before.
We have white and black talking, when you're about to do something bad, the white one say, no, don't do it. And then the black one says, just do it. No one watching right now.
I've not heard it like that. I always say it's the inner critic, which is the one that tells you you're too young, too old, too fat, too stupid, too this, too that. It always starts with your two. And then your inner voice of wisdom, which is the person that knows what you want, knows where you want to go, knows who you want to be, and always has the answer. You always have the answer, but that's why things like meditation work so well, because you sit still and you get quiet, and it's when you can quieten down that chattering from the critic, who's loud and is definitely like wants to be in charge. But once you can calm that down, that's when I think your true self and your true wants come out.
Oh, this is like a thing. I think it's a Thai culture thing that we call a black and white, or you call it, we have an angel or devil.
Angel and devil, yeah.
And then the black is the devil, and the
white is the angel. Yeah, we say the same thing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What would you say to your 20-year-old self?
Gosh, I stopped drinking. Don't drink so much. No. Well, I mean, I'm not that much older. Okay, that might be a little bit of a lie. But what would I say to my 20-year-old self? I would say worry less, as much as that's a really easy thing to say with hindsight. But worry less and start now. Like, start now. Just start something. It can be anything, and don't feel like you have to go down the classic route. Like, I was very much the classic route of, you do school, you do your A levels, you do university, you go and get a job, and you get married and you have children and blah 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 blah. Like, and don't be afraid to not do that. And I think that's something that's changing at the moment anyway. It's definitely changing as we get older. I mean, it's changed from my parents' generation and definitely from their parents' generation. But be really curious as to what's out there. So if I was talking to a 20-year-old now, as opposed to necessarily myself, but I would say be just curious as to what's out there, because there's so many things out there that you don't know. There's so many different avenues that you can go down, and things are exploding all over. I mean, like, coaching from 5 years ago is a totally different world to what it was, and other industries are exactly the same. And so I'd say start sooner, worry less, and be curious.
Yeah. That's true. I would say to myself, invest in property.
Yes. On specific roads that we now know are really expensive that weren't back then. Yeah.
Good one. Thank you. Okay. So what project are you working on right now, Laura?
Yeah, so I'm just launching a online course called Overcome the Fears of Starting a Business, which is, I guess, quite appropriate given what we've been talking about. Which is, it's a fairly short course, but it's packed with the good stuff of working through all these lovely fears that come up when you try to start a business. And it's actually just had some really good review, which I'm very pleased with. So that one's up on my website. If you go to lauraellera.com/shop. And also, because I just like being busy, my podcast is coming out on the 21st of September called Don't Give Up the Daydream. And that's all about trying to go after your daydreams and what we were talking about earlier about not just shelving those hopes and dreams, how we actually go after them and live the life we want to and go after the business that we want to have.
Oh, wow. So can you tell me the website name again if people want to sign up?
Yeah, sure. So it's lauraellera.com. So LAURAELLERA.com. And then that's /shop, or there's lots of freebies on there. So there's a free training and lots of other good stuff. So that's at lauraellera.com/free.
Wow. So you got free, when you say freebie, it's like for specific for people who want to start a business, or maybe they have, but they kind of like, they put their third feet in and another feet back.
Yeah, it's definitely that. It's for the people that are either not, and most clients have, most people I speak to have got an idea. It's just that diving in. So they're like, I always say it's like standing on the side of a pool. Do you know, like you see that person that's standing on the side of the pool and then they like dip their toe in and then they slowly put like the foot in and then they're like, ooh. It's trying to help them dive in, you know, that graceful swan dive into the into the pool. So it's helping them get over that hump and take action.
Don't go to the pool, go to the ocean.
Well, yeah, or ocean, diving off a cliff, whichever.
It's amazing. Okay, so you have plenty of training, freebie, the people, they can catch up, they can have a look, they can check it out on your website. Well, I will put the links below here as well.
Thank you.
People can, and they can also, if they want to follow you, they can follow you on your Facebook or your Instagram as well, right?
Yep, and both of them are I am Laura Ellera.
Cool. Okay. What is your favorite saying?
Oh, that's so funny noise. My favorite saying. So I have one on my website, which is actually from one of my kids' books, randomly, but I absolutely love it. And it says, if you want things to change, you first have to change you. And that's from The Lion Inside by Rachel Bright. And I just think that sums everything up, because a lot of the time we're saying, you know, I'll be happy when I'm rich, I'll be this when this happens, I'll be a good wife when my husband's a good husband, it's always, this is going to happen when something external happens. And that's just not how it works. It's not how the world works. It's not how the universe works. It's just not how it works. And it's very hard to see that when you're in it. But if you want something to change, you have to change first. You have to be that change first. So I love that saying, and that is exactly why it's on my homepage on my website, because I just think it sums everything up. And I think that's the reason as well why a lot of people don't go after these things, because they're not willing to accept that they have the responsibility and they also have the keys to it. So like, we have the ability to make change. We just have to do it. We have to make the change first. It has to come from within. So that's definitely my favorite saying, and one that I live by.
Wow, I love that too.
It's a good book. If you've got little kids, it's a really good book, The Lion Inside.
Wow. So yeah, we all have to change. People like, oh, I want to have a better life, I want to have more money, but you just be the same person for 10 years, still be the same. If you want things change, right?
Yeah, don't live the same year 20 times, I think the saying is. And I think people can get really almost offended by the word change. And when I set up my website, my tagline is create change, inspire others. And I got quite a lot of feedback about people saying, oh, I don't like it, that the word change sort of almost, you know, like we'd say triggered them. And, you know, I don't like, some people might not like the word change. And I'm like, well, why is that? Why do people not like the word change? Because if they want something to happen, it's not going to happen by doing what they're doing now. So they're going to have to change. So what exactly do I change the word change to make sure that everybody's happy? And again, this comes down to your ideal client, and you're not going to be able to please everybody. But yeah, the word change can have negative connotations in itself, but you know, you can't do the same thing and expect a different result, right? That's the definition of insanity, I think.
Did you what word you use then?
I left it as it was. It worked for me. I create change, inspire others, because it is exactly what it's meant to do.
Oh,
Don't make things difficult. Oh yeah, make things easy. That was the other one. So I'm going back to the question from before. Make things as easy as possible. Don't second guess things. Sorry.
I think this is probably that's why people use transform instead of change.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, but it's
Transform.
change, right? It's just change. Like, you know, if you can't say the word, you're going to find it very hard to do it, right? So yeah, I think
That's true. Absolutely true. Say, or if you don't even like that word, how are you gonna change yourself like that? Right. Last question now, Laura. What message do you have for our audience?
Right. Well, I would say take action. I know that is probably the one thing that I've said the most, but I think it's the only thing that's going to get you going, because you can think about things forever, and that is the problem. That's what most people do. People think about things forever, and you're not going to get the clarity until you take action, and you're never going to feel ready. So a lot of people are waiting to feel ready before they take the action. Oh, I'll wait until this happens. I'll wait until I've got a bigger following on Instagram before I put out an offer. I'll do this. I'll wait until this. And you're never going to feel ready. The key is to do it anyway, and to just take action. You're just never gonna feel ready. That was making me think of something else, that, you know, like put placeholders even in place. You know, like if you think I'm not ready to do an opt-in or to give away a freebie, just do something and think of it as a placeholder. Put it in there and say, look, this is a placeholder until I've got it perfect. You'll never go back to it, but that thing in there could be making you money, right? Rather than the person that's trying to make it perfect will never go ahead with it. So yeah, just, you'll never feel ready, so you just need to take action anyway.
Wow. By listening to you, you're like the kind of action taker.
Yeah, but only because I'm very aware that I wasn't, and I still work on it. Like, it's still a conscious thing.
Like from the first start, you like, you know, when you go to this marathon thing, like Ironman thing, you know, it's only like people who really take action to be able to go and do all that. And then all the things you do, and like all the question, all the answer you gave is about taking action. It's so true. I believe that if you think so much but you just sit down watching TV, how's it gonna happen?
You can live so comfortably in your comfort zone, and that's absolutely fine if that's what you want to be doing. But I would hazard a guess that the people that are listening to your show, that's not what they want, right? They wouldn't be listening to your show if they didn't. And I don't want people to listen to this and be like, oh, it's okay for her because she finds it easy to take action. I do not. I live a lot of my life feeling very uncomfortable, I've always had anxiety, and obviously then the postnatal depression, and, you know, so it's just a case of becoming aware that it's there, because a lot of the time we don't realize it's there. We don't realize that we're worried about something, or we're feeling anxious about something, and then finding what works for you so that you can do it anyway. I use emotional freedom techniques, so tapping, as a lot of people call it. I find that's amazing. But just to be able to step out of your comfort zone and just take that action, because it's not going to kill you. And that's like taking that bigger perspective of, you know what, going on a Facebook Live, or going on, you know, asking for the sale. They might say no, the technology might break down, or you might forget what you're saying, but it's not going to kill you. And when you come off that live or call or whatever, you're going to be in a much better place than if you hadn't done it. So I am okay with being uncomfortable at taking action, as long as I can take other people with me and hopefully inspire other people into taking action.
Wow. Very good. I love that. Oh, thank you so much. Today we have learned so much from you and lots of tips and techniques and stuff to take away.
Oh,
Love that. I enjoyed our chat, our conversation. Thank you so much for coming to our show. And I'm sure lots of people that listen to will be able to learn a lot from you as well.
oh, it's been lovely having the opportunity. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, and maybe maybe we will welcome you back to give us another tips and techniques for success or anything for other people, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'll definitely come back.
Thank you so much. I'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.